Bill Clinton's first Supreme Court nominee is a judicial moderate and a pioneer for women's rights.
Rejected after law school for a Supreme Court clerkship because she was a woman, she began her legal career as a law professor and pioneering advocate for women's legal rights.
Justice is not to be taken by storm.
Now she's the only woman on the panel and seems to be growing more vocal.
I am proud to nominate
Justice Ruth
Bader Ginsburg.
I'm Jeffrey Rosen, and welcome to the National Constitution Center's 2020 Liberty Medal Awards ceremony. I'm here in Philadelphia, where we bring together people from across the country and around the world to learn about, debate, and celebrate the greatest vision of human freedom in history, the U.S. Constitution. Every year, as part of our nonpartisan mission of constitutional education, we present the Liberty Medal to honor those who strive to secure the blessings of liberty to people around the globe. This year, on the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment, we're proud to award the Liberty Medal to one of the most important advocates for gender equality of our time and one of the most influential figures for constitutional change in American history, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Now, I first met Justice Ginsburg in 1991. I was a young law clerk, and she was a judge on the U.S. Court of Appeals in D.C. One day we shared an elevator, and to break the ice, I asked her what operas she'd seen recently. We bonded over our shared love of opera and began a series of conversations about music and the law. Today's ceremony is not an ordinary Liberty Medal presentation. But Justice Ginsburg is no ordinary woman. She is one of the most extraordinary Americans of our time. To make this ceremony especially meaningful for the justice who's watching at home, we decided to invite some of her favorite opera singers and special friends. Through personal tributes and spoken words, and beautiful songs, will attempt to illuminate the breadth and depth of her vision and impact on her friends, on constitutional law, and on the cause of freedom and equality for all.
Hello, I'm Lawrence Brownlee. It is a tremendous honor for me to be able to share this next piece with Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg in tribute to her for this wonderful award that she has been chosen to receive. I have enjoyed so many incredible nights on the opera stage, but I have to say one of the most meaningful and enjoyable nights I have ever experienced is when I co-starred with Justice Ginsburg in The Daughter of the Regiment at Washington National Opera a few years ago. I have admired you for so many years, and you mean so much to me. So I will dedicate the piece that we did together, À mes amis, from The Daughter of the Regiment.
À mes amis, quel jour de fête, je vais marcher sous votre drapeau. À mes amis, quel jour de fête, je vais marcher sous votre drapeau. L'amour qui boit tourner la tête, désormais me ranero. À quel bonheur, mes amis, je vais marcher sous votre pas, je vais marcher sous votre pas. Oui, celle pour qui je respire, à mes voeux à demi sourire, et ce doux espoir de bonheur trouble ma raison et mon cœur. À mes amis, quel jour de fête, je vais marcher sous votre drapeau. À mes amis, quel jour de fête, je vais marcher sous votre drapeau. Je vais marcher sous votre drapeau. Je vais marcher. À mes amis, je vais marcher sous votre drapeau. prospère, me voici, militaire, militaire, et Marie, militaire et Marie, oh, pour mon âme, quel destin, j'ai sa flamme et j'ai sa main. Je fais serment pour me quel destin, j'ai sa flamme, j'ai sa main. Jour prospère, me voici, militaire, militaire et Marie, pour me quel destin, j'ai sa flamme, j'ai sa main. Me voici, militaire et Marie, me voici, militaire et Marie.
In the world of opera, a diva is a woman of outstanding talent who breathes life into a centuries-old work and whose voice soars above the rest, strong and clear. Someone like Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. But her extraordinary achievements didn't just come to her.
The justice shows up, she puts in the work. She puts in the work even on her worst days.
It was my first day in law school, my very first class. There was a young man, he was called on, and he gave a brilliant answer. And I came home and said to my husband, if they're all that smart, I'll never make it in this place. So I decided that I wasn't going to be quiet. I wasn't going to hide in the back. Now that meant there had to be a high level of preparation on my part.
Always proactive, always productive. She edits briefs in moving cars and movie theaters.
She twice had cancer and never missed a day on the bench.
Once, her clerks gathered in her chambers for a birthday celebration. When the room was full, she looked up from her desk surprised, having been too focused on her work to notice a crowd assembling around her. And she is relentless, not one to give up on a fight, no matter how big or small.
She has a mega sweet tooth, and she's a master of word craft, and so she's very good at negotiating, how many cookies she should have or how many scoops of ice cream. And it's just very endearing because here's this woman who has this really important job and has done so many instrumental things throughout her lifetime, and we're just having a back and forth about how much mango sorbet she should have.
But as relentless as Justice Ginsburg is, she's also patient, measured, and thoughtful. A deep thinker.
We were having dinner just a week ago, and she kind of looked like she was zoning out, and I asked her, what's on your mind? What's going on? And she goes, I was just thinking about how since Roe v. Wade, the right to an abortion in the United States has really been restricted, and it just hasn't been the case in sort of our European allied countries. In that moment, or in moments like that, when seemingly out of nowhere, she comes up with these just really deeply thought statements about law in the United States or contemporary society, I'm just sort of like in awe, I have to say.
In the world of opera, a diva is someone whose hard work and commitment to her craft benefits all those lucky enough to experience it.
I'm inspired by her sheer vibrancy. She has been battling cancer all this time, but when we saw her, she had all the energy in the world.
So true.
She simply cannot be defeated.
It's amazing. She is my favorite character to play on Saturday Night Live because she is, I think, the closest I'll ever come to playing a superhero.
I said, Justice, I said, what's up with the Super Diva t-shirt? And she says, well, the diva is if you are a female in the opera and you're that high role, you're considered the diva. And so she looked at me in this way and she's like, so you see, I really was a super diva. And then at that moment, I looked at her and said, Justice, what do you mean you were a super diva? I said, you still are a super diva.
Congratulations, Justice Ginsburg. So well deserved. We all love you and admire you and are happy to honor you. I'm happy to stand here with so many people tonight and other artists who appreciate you for being the hero that you are, for women's rights, for men's rights. From the very beginning, you've been out there on the battlefield and on the front line fighting for us.
Back in 1950, at Cornell University, Ruth Bader met a dashing young man named Marty.
But then I met Marty, and there was something amazingly wonderful about this man. He cared that I had a brain.
With Marty by her side, Ruth grew ever bigger, never smaller.
He was always making me feel that I was better than I thought I was. So we went to law school, and he told everybody, all of his friends, and he was 1 year ahead of me. His wife was going to be on the law review. And people looked at me and said, she doesn't look like the type that's going to be on the law review, whatever that type was.
Ruth, in fact, did join the esteemed Harvard Law Review. That same year, when her husband Marty was diagnosed with cancer, she was by his side, helping him with his coursework.
From 12 to 2, he was up, and then I started typing the notes that his classmates had given me from his classes, reading whatever cases I would read for the next day, and maybe I got 2 hours sleep. In the course of a marriage, one accommodates the other. So when Marty was intent on becoming a partner in a New York law firm in 5 years, during that time, I was a major caretaker of our home and child. But when I started up the ACLU Women's Rights Project, Marty realized how important that work was.
In Marty, Ruth found someone who not only supported her, but made her laugh and kept her on her toes.
Everyone says often that she was the serious one and he was the funny one, and they were a counterbalance to each other. But I think something that one has to remember is that in order to put up with that kind of humor and to be willing to be the butt of some joke, you also have to have a really good sense of humor, and you also have to be in on the joke. And that's something that I think may have gotten lost over the years, and this idea that she was the dour, serious one, because obviously she was having the time of her life and was having just as much fun as my grandfather was, because she was in it with him.
It was in this spirit of partnership that Ruth and Marty carved out their life together, a marriage with equality at its core.
When speaking about her husband, she said that there weren't many men in the world like him that she had ever met or had ever known. She said he was so supportive and very progressive in his ways with her. And that's why she was able to soar in her life the way she did. And that really struck a chord with us. I mean, I think it's that support that's really important. And her husband realized that she was a talented, driven woman. She was special.
It was a marriage whose love knew no end.
Well, my best friend was my dear spouse. Marty was always my best friend.
Justice Ginsburg, Solomon Howard here. I would like to say thank you for your continued support over the years and for always encouraging and challenging me to continue to grow, to become the best artist that I could be. I'm joined by Craig Terry here at Lyric Opera of Chicago. Thank you to Lyric Opera of Chicago and the production team for providing the venue for us. And we would like to perform for you Come dal ciel precipita from Verdi's Macbeth, also known as Banquo's aria. Now, I know that this is one of your favorite operas, so this is my tribute to you. Love you and hope to see you soon.
Uscendo queste tenebre, un senso ignoto arcer mi sento in petto, pien di tristo presagio. Dal cielo
In 1946, a 13-year-old wrote a column for her school newspaper. Most 8th graders write about their day or popular culture. This 8th grader discussed the 10 Commandments, the Magna Carta, the Declaration of Independence, and the Charter of the United Nations. Her name was Ruth Bader, and her editorial was a sign of things to come. But the visionary litigator we know today wasn't a role that was handed to her.
Despite her enormous ability and academic achievements, she could not get a job with a law firm in the early 1960s because she was a woman and the mother of a small child.
So she went on to teach, first at Rutgers, then at Columbia Law School, where she became the first tenured female professor. It was there that she co-founded the American Civil Liberties Union's Women's Rights Project.
I really got to know her when she was creating the Women's Rights Project and asked me and a colleague to go and interview Fannie Lou Hamer in Mississippi, who had been sterilized without her permission. Her case was important to Ruth, who was preventing this from happening to young black women. She was pioneering reproductive freedom.
At the ACLU, she would also take on the case that would define her career.
Stephen Weisenfeld was a man whose wife died in childbirth, and he vowed he would not work full-time until his child was in school full-time. So he went to the Social Security office, and he was told, "Oh, we're sorry, Mr. Weisenfeld, these are mother's benefits."
One of her first and biggest gender cases in terms of starting to turn the tide was protecting the rights of men who were caregivers at home who were denied a deduction by the IRS because only women need that, because only women stay at home and are caregivers. So she thought that that was a ridiculous sort of confinement on gender.
There was a unanimous judgment. The majority thought, obviously, this is discrimination.
In Stephen's story, Justice Ginsburg saw not only the opportunity to come at gender discrimination from another angle, she saw a fellow parent trying his best to care for his son. And in doing so, she established a landmark precedent for gender equality under law. She fought 6 cases before the Supreme Court, winning 5, each one focused on dismantling gender discrimination.
Sex, like race, is a visible, immutable characteristic. Women are no less entitled to maintain a challenge of this kind than are members of a racial, national origin, or religious group. Congress can use a gender-neutral standard, but it can't simply assume that the men are the breadwinners and that the women are the dependents.
The male citizens are counted by government as the essential participants in the administration of justice, but the female citizens are not so counted.
The justice is like a ninja. A ninja comes on the scene, does what it has to do, and then disappears in the shadow of the night. Quietly, she whittles away at this opinion, this law, boom, boom, boom. Now it becomes law.
But the remarkable thing about her early legal career in activism wasn't just her success and her savvy. It was her enduring, long-term vision for a fairer, more just, more equal America.
She was a movement before there were movements. She was always ahead and clear and had this revolutionary idea that the law and justice ought to be connected.
Justice Ginsburg not only had a vision for a more just world, she had the courage to fight for it.
You know, and sometimes having the courage to really do what's right, she has that, she'll show up.
My favorite advice of hers was when I asked about the country seeming so broken and divided right now, and I asked what Alex and I should be doing. You know, how could we help? What should we do? And her response was to keep doing what you're doing, inspiring people and living by example. She said, we must continue to change the world with our respective gifts. And I thought to myself, put love and justice into the world, not hate and fear.
That was Ruth's big thing, you know. These laws are really a hindrance to our children and their goals and aspirations. So, you know, whatever change you want to see in the world just requires you being it.
She now is and always has been, but will continue to be that inspiration to not just men, women, cancer survivors, people who are looking for hope.
Part of the reason that I can do the things that I'm doing and work on the work I'm working and that I could go to law school without much, incident is because of her.
Whenever I put on that robe and roll out on the update desk, the wave of overwhelming joy that I feel. She is just so beloved, and it's because there's this sense that, like, this person is here to save us all and already has.
Justice Ginsburg, what an honor it is to celebrate you, someone who so many of us see as a champion, a beacon of integrity and strength. The Liberty Medal could actually have no better recipient, especially this year with the anniversary of the 19th Amendment and women's right to vote. I want to thank you personally on behalf of me and my 2 daughters for all you've done to further the promise of equality for us. It's also been a joy to see you over the years as part of the Kennedy Center and Washington National Opera family, and how fortunate we are that opera is a special passion of yours. Now I'd love to sing for you Dvorak's Song to the Moon from Rusalka. It's listed as a favorite of yours, and I hope you still feel that way. Much has been taken from this Undine legend of the mermaid or nymph who gives up so much to meet her prince. I want to wish you a very heartfelt congratulations. We treasure you.
Our Constitution starts out, we the people, in order to form a more perfect union. A very large part of becoming a more perfect union is to embrace more and more people. Think of how it was in the beginning, in 1787, when the original Constitution was written. So who were we the people? I would not have been there. Half the population would not have been there. The people who were held in human bondage, Native Americans were not part of the political constituency. I think the genius of the Constitution is that this concept of we the people has become ever more embracive.
Embracive. That's Justice Ginsburg's word. And she defines it as embracing those left out and left behind, not just grudgingly, but with open arms. The word reflects Justice Ginsburg's interpretation of the Constitution as a document promising equality for all. It's one reason she spent the better part of a lifetime holding America to that promise, fighting to extend constitutional rights to embrace women, immigrants, people of color, members of the LGBTQ community.
As the only woman remaining on a more conservative court, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg has turned up the voltage in her dissents, twice this term taking the unusual step of announcing them from the bench. In the pay disparity case, she said the court does not comprehend or is indifferent to the insidious way in which women can be victims of pay discrimination. She offered an equally biting dissent in the abortion case, suggesting the court's changes contributed to the outcome of the case, a point women's groups agree with.
Her opinions, both majorities and dissents, speak to her courage and her vision for a Constitution that embraces all people.
It does mark as presumptively invalid, incompatible with equal protection, a law or official policy that denies to women, simply because they are women, equal opportunity to aspire, achieve, participate in, and contribute to society based upon what they can do. The ability of women to participate equally in the economic and social life of the nation, this court appreciated over 2 decades ago, has been facilitated by their ability to control their reproductive lives. First, race-based voting discrimination still exists. No one doubts that. Second, the Voting Rights Act addresses an extraordinary problem. Beyond those 2 points, the court divides sharply.
Justice Ginsburg also brings her embraciveness to work every day.
I would say that the Supreme Court is the most collegial place I've ever worked.
Really?
Beyond any law faculty, beyond the D.C. Circuit. Yeah, we all respect and in most cases genuinely like each other.
She shared a particularly close friendship with the late Justice Antonin Scalia.
The first time I met Justice Scalia, he was then Professor Scalia, teaching at the University of Chicago. I attended a lecture he gave. I disagreed with a lot of what he said, but I was totally captivated by the way he said it. He is was a man with a great sense of humor. When we became buddies on the D.C. Circuit, where the court sits in panels of 3 judges, and he would whisper something to me in the middle of an oral argument. It would totally crack me up. And all I could do to avoid bursting out in hilarious laughter.
In addition to being an acclaimed pillar of liberalism, Justice Ginsburg is also a consensus builder.
I believe that in the years ahead, she will be able to be a force for consensus building on the Supreme Court, just as she has been on the Court of Appeals, so that our judges can become an instrument of our common unity. in the expression of their fidelity to the Constitution.
Her ability to find common ground is also reflected in the rulings of the Supreme Court. In other words, on the court and across America, she has worked to form a more perfect union. On behalf of the National Constitution Center, it is now my honor to present Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg with the 2020 Liberty Medal. Justice Ginsburg, you've said that when you were just a child, your mother taught you to overcome unproductive emotions like anger, jealousy, and fear, so that you could focus your energy and your remarkable powers of reason on serving others. Your astonishing focus, your attention to detail, and your determination to make the most of every moment inspire your friends, your family, your colleagues, and women and men of all ages around the globe. As an advocate, you argued on behalf of women's equality in the 1970s. You made history representing both men and women disadvantaged by gender stereotypes. And you persuaded the Supreme Court to treat discrimination on the basis of sex nearly as skeptically as it treats discrimination on the basis of race. As a justice, you've earned the respect of liberals and conservatives alike. As a judge's judge, a model of principled judicial restraint. With your majority opinions and your galvanizing dissents, you have become one of the most influential Supreme Court advocates and justices in American history. You offer a vision of constitutional liberty and equality that will inspire future generations. If Thurgood Marshall was the most influential Supreme Court advocate for racial equality of his time, you are the most influential advocate for gender equality of our time. Because of your efforts as a path-breaking advocate and a Supreme Court justice, the idea of we the people, as you put it so beautifully, has become more and more embracive. Justice Ginsburg, for all you have done to extend the Constitution's promise of liberty and equality so it embraces women and men across the country and around the world, it is an honor for the National Constitution Center to award you the 2020 Liberty Medal.
Dearest Ruth, I would follow you anywhere, and I am looking forward to doing that until we are at least 100. I am so grateful to be living in a world with you in it, with love and hope, because hope is a form of planning. I love you and I honor you.
She's inspired me to be a better trainer, a better person, and a better way to inspire people to help themselves.
The whole reason I'm here in a t-shirt and in ridiculous facial hair is to wish you a heartfelt congratulations for an award that truly could not go to anyone else more deservedly.
Congratulations, Justice Ginsburg. We're so proud and thankful for everything you've done for our society, most notably your efforts toward the advancement of women's rights and minorities.
This award could not be going to a more deserving individual.
Thank you, Justice Ginsburg, and you are so loved.
Congratulations, Bubby. We're all so proud of you, even Wallace.
And as Martin would say, well done, Kiki.
Thank you, Justice Ginsburg. The honor is ours. And thank you to our wonderful partners at Comcast and NBCUniversal for making this night possible. Thanks to the sublime singers and to all of Justice Ginsburg's friends and admirers who have made this tribute so meaningful. Finally, thanks to all of you who are watching at home. To learn more about the U.S. Constitution, please visit the National Constitution Center online. With our amazing podcasts, videos, debates, and live classes, you'll find everything you need for a lifetime of learning about the Constitution. It's the greatest document of freedom and equality in history. And as Justice Ginsburg reminds us, it expresses the principles that unite we the people.